How's it going, everybody? Blake here, and this is Rambling Movie Takes, coming at you with a review for The Invisible Man, starring Elizabeth Moss. Some of you may know her from a TV show called Mad Men, and apparently she's also on a show called The Handmaid's Tale. I have not seen it. I heard it's really good, though. So anyways, The Invisible Man. I really like this movie. I went with my friend Tyler, who has the Geek Radar channel. Check it out. He didn't really like it, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I had a lot of fun with it. It is a movie, like, I know a lot of people, you like jump scares in your horror movies, and that's cool. And this movie has a couple, but it's not like it doesn't like depend on them. You know what I mean? You're not gonna get a whole lot of jump scares in this movie. You just get like maybe two or three. As far as I can recall, anyway. This movie is mainly a psychological horror, and it deals a lot with, like abuse. Like the main character in this movie, Cecilia, basically she was in an abusive relationship, and her ex that she leaves at the beginning of the movie, and it's not really a spoiler. I mean, if you read the synopsis, you pretty much know what the movie's about. She leaves her ex because he was a controlling dick that didn't treat her right and all this and that, and was apparently abusive and stuff, as you'll find out later on in the movie. But anyways, she ends up leaving him, and he supposedly uh, fakes his death and becomes the Invisible Man as he starts stalking her throughout the entirety of the movie. Now, that's just the synopsis. That's the premise, basically. I'm not really giving away too much. This is a non-spoiler review. I don't want to dive too much into like what happens, but basically this is like a psychological horror, and you're basically watching the main character Cecilia just kind of descend in a way into madness. I feel like that's an overused phrase, but it's the truth. Throughout the movie, she starts going crazy because nobody believes her, and who would believe somebody that claims that somebody invisible is stalking them? I mean, it's outlandish. So she's constantly dealing with that, and there's so many scenes in this movie where like you don't know if anyone's there, but you're wondering if anyone is there because of the way the camera pans from Cecilia over to a corner, or maybe there's a chair and the camera pans over to the chair, or or maybe like when she's looking at the door, you're wondering if someone is standing at the door. Like it's things like that. It's the constant feeling of someone is watching you, and that in itself is a scary feeling, to always feel like someone is watching you. And yeah, but like I said, it is a psychological horror. One of my biggest gripes with the movie is that there really wasn't any science. Like there wasn't really any talk about like how he was able to turn himself invisible. Just that he was an optics specialist and that he was a genius. That was pretty much it. That he was just a genius scientist and was like a world leader in the field of optics. That was pretty much all they gave you. So if you really like science in your movies and you want an explanation as to what happens, you're going to be disappointed because you don't really get any explanation. You get a little bit, but it's kind of glossed over, and there's really just not a whole lot of time that is taken with it. Another thing is that there are some logic problems in this movie. Like, there are a lot of times in this movie where you're like, that would not happen. Aren't there cameras over there? Wouldn't cameras have caught that? You know, things like that. There's a scene, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but something happens and, like, you just, how do I put this without spoiling? It's hard to really tell you about without spoiling it, but, like, you see something next to Cecilia, and it's there for, like, a good, like, few seconds before the Invisible Man does anything with it. And you just wonder, like, they're putting her in jail for it, but there's cameras that should have picked up on the fact that she was not holding it, that it was literally right next to her. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to spoil. I'm kind of beating around the bush because I don't want to spoil you. I want you to go into this movie and see it. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'm just going to say in closing, this is a really good movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I had a really, really good time with this movie. And I definitely feel like, you know, aside from a few logic problems and the lack of like science, the lack of the fact that they didn't really dive into how everything happened, that was annoying to me. But when a movie is good, I can kind of, you know, gloss over it. I can forgive it. Elizabeth Moss did a great job with this movie. She did a great job in this role. I mean, she was phenomenal with Cecilia. Everybody really played their parts well. And this movie, for those of you that don't know, it was directed by Lee Winnell. And for those of you that don't know who that is, he's relatively new. He directed the movie Upgrade that came out in 2018, I believe it was. Yeah, it was 2018. That was like one of my favorite movies of 2018. And it was, you know, when I saw his name on the marquee, I was like, whoa, all right, I'm sold. As soon as I saw that it was directed by the director of Upgrade and it was written by him as well, I was sold. Like, I remember a while back, somebody that I know was like, I really can't wait to see this movie. I think it's going to be great. And I watched the preview for it. And I saw that it was a Blumhouse movie and was like, it's Blumhouse. Great. But look, even Blumhouse can get a movie right every now and then. And they got this one right. This was a really, really good movie. I can't recommend it enough. And I also want to say real quick, I know I said in closing and I've went on for like 2 more minutes. Look, I know, like, everybody is not a horror fan. Like, you're going to see horror and you're going to think, oh, this is a really scary movie. It's not a scary movie. It's more of a thriller than it is a horror. There's really not a whole lot of violence until like the 3rd act. That's really the only time you see like any like real violence. The scariest aspect of this movie is just the feeling that someone is watching you and you can't do anything about it. Like, that's the real, like, scary part. That's the fear of this movie. But anyways, guys, that's all I got. If you like this review, I didn't even rate it. Let me rate it real quick. I'm getting really, really ahead of myself. Sorry. This is a theater experience. Definitely check this out in the theater. If you miss it in the theater, it's one of those movies that you're probably not going to kick yourself over, but I would say definitely see it in the theater. It's worth checking out. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, y'all have a good one.